What's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to be giving you my ranking of all 4 John Wick films from the worst to the best. An important thing to keep in mind with this franchise, all 4 of these films are incredible. Like, we are literally ranking 4 films that are probably within a very similar range when it comes to my own personal rating. So the difference between them is not that significant. This was a really hard list to make. I could honestly interchange most of them, but this is just the one I decided to come up with for a couple of different reasons. Let me know your lists down in the comments, and let's get to this. In last place is definitely a very unpopular opinion, because usually I see this one being praised as one of the fan favorites of the franchise, and that is John Wick Chapter 2 from 2017. So this one, like I said, I love. It's an amazing film. I would still rate it like a 9 out of 10, but I just have a couple minor issues that hold it back from being a lot better than it could be. First of all, I do feel like Santino as a villain is not that interesting, at least compared to other villains in this franchise. I'm not really compelled by his motivations. His motivations seem a little finicky and just quite frankly don't work that well for me. And although the action is amazing in this film, it's certainly not the best in the franchise. It doesn't do too much with John Wick's character either. I just like a couple of the moments, especially towards the end of the film, in regards to what he does to Santino. But that's really it. The film is amazing otherwise. There's, like I said, amazing action scenes. You have amazing visuals, even better than the first one when it comes to the action and the visuals. So I can't really complain too much about it. It's just not better than the other 3 films, in my opinion. It's got great world building with the high table introduction and that whole side of the universe. It's really trying to expand the world in a very different way than what the first one did. Most of the film is honestly just him running away from others trying to kill him at the very end with the bounty, and those scenes are really great. They have a lot of cool scenes with that, and the way it ends as well, it ends on a big cliffhanger and really amps you up for the 3rd film, knowing that there's so many people out there who are going to be trying to kill him because of him being excommunicated. There's also the introduction of Lawrence Fishburne's character, who's a pretty fun part of the John Wick franchise. So I like this movie a lot. Like I said, it's incredible, but the other ones just do more for me personally. Now these next 2, there's like a razor thin difference between them. Like it's so hard to choose between these, and I had to go with one, so I went with one. But number 3, we're going to be putting John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. So Chapter 3, I think the biggest issue with it is it doesn't really do much for the story. Narratively speaking, it doesn't really advance any characters that much, doesn't really advance the universe, the plot. It's just John Wick running from everyone trying to come after him and him trying to find a way to fix this problem. That's pretty much it. You introduce some new characters that get involved with it, and it's good, but you honestly could remove this and it probably wouldn't affect the franchise as much as the other films would. It might in some places, but not significantly. But I don't really care, because the action is fucking amazing in this movie. It's probably some of the best action in this franchise, at least probably tied for first in terms of the action. Especially the opening act of this film, when he's just running from everyone coming after him. There are so many fantastic scenes. You have the amazing knife fight in that old antique store with all the different like weapons and stuff, like the old weapons, like the medieval stuff. That was one of my favorite action scenes in the entire John Wick franchise. The scene with the horses is really amazing as well. The scenes in Morocco are amazing with Halle Berry, obviously. She's a cool new addition to the franchise. She's playing a character named Sophia here, and I really enjoyed her small little part in this movie, especially with her 2 dogs. Like, that stuff was amazing. The stuff in Morocco was incredible. And then you have the motorcycle scene later on. We all love that motorcycle scene. That's definitely one of the best scenes in the movie. There's this character named Zero. He's the kind of the main villain of the film. He's pretty interesting, and I absolutely love the fighting scenes with him, especially against John Wick at the very end in the Continental, which having the final battle be in the Continental is so awesome. But like I said, it just doesn't do as much with the story compared to some of the other ones, so I have to put it in the spot. I couldn't put it any higher, although I was really close to putting it in the 2nd place. And that means in 2nd place, we have John Wick Chapter 4, which of course is the newest film in this franchise. There's a lot to love about this movie. My only criticism is honestly just the idea of John Wick having this bulletproof suit. He had it at the end of the third one, but it wasn't as significant of a part in the story as it is in this one. He pretty much uses it for the entire film, and it just makes some of these shooting scenes not as good as they could have been. But there are a lot of other action scenes in this movie because it's a long film, so you have a ton of action scenes, and the other action scenes completely make up for it. There's the scene with the Dragon's Breath shotgun, which was just insane. The scene in the Berlin club, I think that was my favorite scene in the movie, against that big like crime boss guy who almost looked like Kingpin from Spider-Man, and he was just coming at you. It was just like, what the hell? Like, it was just so insane, those fighting scenes. And even just the first act of the film, 30 plus minutes of action in Japan. The end of the film works a lot for me. I absolutely love what they do with John's character. So I just have to put it here. The only thing I was kind of debating on putting it in third place because of that whole suit situation. But to be fair, like I said, it was also in John Wick Chapter 3. And I think this one just does more with the story that I can be a little bit more interested in compared to the other ones. But in first place has to be the first John Wick from 2014. So interestingly enough, in terms of action, this is by far the weakest John Wick film. It was the first one, so obviously they weren't, as crazy with the action sequences as they get later on. But that doesn't change the fact that this is the best one for a couple of reasons. So first of all, I do like how simple the story is in this one. It's just a simple revenge story. These people killed his dog, and he wants revenge, and he just goes after them as much as he can to try to kill Yusuf. Specifically, Yusuf was the main one he was after, but in the process, he has to kill a bunch of other people. Simple story, simple, and it's executed with perfection, with a really amazing action scenes. Like I said, not as good as the other films, but the action is still incredible compared to most action films out there today. And I think the best thing about this movie is the fact that John Wick actually feels like a character in this movie. He kind of has that in Chapter 4 as well, but I feel like in Chapter 2 and 3 especially, which is probably what made me put them lower, John Wick feels just more like a badass more than anything. That's what he is. He's just this badass who just fights people, and that's all he is. But in this one, you get to feel more of the emotion from the character. You feel more of his motivations. In the other one, it's just him just trying to just kill people because they're after him and trying to kill him. It's as simple as that, right? But this one, you feel it more. You feel the loss of his wife. You feel the loss of his dog, Daisy. You feel these losses, and it makes you care so much for him, and you want him to just absolutely kill Yusuf by any means necessary because of what happened. None of these other films make me hate a character more than this one, to the point where I really wanted John to fulfill his goal. That is what makes the first one work the best. You are most engaged in it because of that. You just feel for everything way more than you would in the other ones. The other ones are just fun to watch, a lot of cool action, visuals, everything like that. But this first original one actually gets you to feel and understand the character's motivation and why he's doing what he's doing. That is why it's my favorite John Wick film. Like I said, if you're watching just for the action, you're probably better off watching Chapter 3 or Chapter 4. I'm definitely going to rewatch those more than I probably would ever rewatch 1. But I think one's just a better story. I also think Keanu Reeves gets more time to actually be an actor. I don't feel like he has that many acting moments in the other films. Most of it's just him going, yeah, like that's most of the movie. He's just saying yeah to people when they're other people are talking a bunch, and he's just making really small dialogue towards them. But in the first one, I actually feel like he's more of a character. I just like John Wick more in this one, and obviously him being the main character, I think that's important. So I have to put Chapter 1 in the #1 spot. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. How would you rank the John Wick films from the worst to the best? And also give me your ratings of them. Like, what would you rate them out of 10? I'd be interested to hear that. I will see you on my next one. Peace out.